Well, the former Reserve Bank Governor, Deputy Governor, Guy Debelle, this morning severed all ties with the Fortescue Group of companies run by Twiggy Forrest. His departure is the latest in almost a dozen key personnel who've left the business in barely 18 months, with 3 in just the past 3 days. Our business editor, Ross Greenwood, joins me now. Ross, can you explain what is going on at Fortescue?
There's plenty happening, there is no doubt about that, Laura, because not only a week after the 20th anniversary of Fortescue, held with a big party in the Pilbara, 800 people there, 3 executives have walked out the door. Twiggy Forrest this week basically said to analysts that this was really all about, really in many ways, culture. He believes right now that effectively people have got to be on board with his vision to try and green the whole of that business up. But what you can see here is that the former chief executive of Fortescue Metals, Elizabeth Gaines, she left. She's come back in a director position. The former chief financial officer, Ian Wells, he went at the start of the year. It took them a long time to replace him, and effectively Fiona Hick came in and replaced Elizabeth Gaines. She lasted barely 6 months. She's out the door, along with the new chief financial officer, Christine Morris, as well, also gone after a very short space of time. But the one in the middle there is the key today. Guy Debelle was the former chief financial officer of the Fortescue Future Industries, and he'd come across from the Reserve Bank, where it was tipped he could be the next Reserve Bank governor, to head up the green push by Andrew Forrest. This is his passion. Now, the fact of the matter is that he then quit that job in a high-profile resignation, but remained as a key part of the board of Fortescue Future Industries. Now he's gone to actually go out to a small vanadium miner called Tivan, and he's going to therefore sever all ties. But as I say, the timing of this and the optics of this could not be worse for Andrew Forrest because of, these high-profile resignations, and also his view that if you're not on board with Fortescue Future Industries and the losses it will make, then ultimately you're out the door.
Okay, I get the cultural stuff, I get the, optics of all of this, but as executive chairman, is what Twiggy's doing here is essentially diverting cash from the iron ore mining business into the green side of his business, which, as you just mentioned, has losses for years and years ahead. Isn't that, essentially kind of stealing from shareholders?
Well, it's not stealing from shareholders if you believe the vision. So even as a shareholder these days, you're expected to be with that vision. Now, that word you mentioned there, executive chair, right? That's the key here. Andrew Forrest is not only the biggest shareholder in Fortescue, but he is also the executive chair. So basically what he says goes. And if that means diverting billions upon billions of dollars of Fortescue's iron ore earnings into this vision for hydrogen and for renewable energy, well, that's what's going to happen. He believes that there will be a long-term payday by what he's doing in those other areas, but he's diverting the cash flow from Fortescue Metals, the iron ore business, into these other areas, and he's expecting the executives of Fortescue Iron Ore to be on board with that as well. Now, if they're not, and they're not moving fast enough, then as we can see, they're not staying with the business.
Now, my cynical brain questions whether there's something else going on here, but there are other pressures at Fortescue too?
There are other pressures at Fortescue, not the least. Let's be honest about this. Andrew Forrest's marriage to his wife, Nicola, has recently broken up. That's got to create some pressure around the place also about the future. And despite the fact they have said they're together, they are one in their shareholding, the fact of the matter is that at least creates a little doubt. But there's something else here, and it really has triggered some of these resignations, in my opinion. And that is they have another project going, a magnetite project, which is called Iron Bridge. That has just had a write-down of more than $1 billion, and big cost overruns had already led to senior executives leaving around 12 months ago. The fact that that is about to ship its first product, but it is way too expensive, and also these write-downs are significant. Quite clearly, that's a pain in the hip pocket for Andrew Forrest and even his aspirations to divert more of that money into this green energy future.
Yeah, wow, it is a mess at the moment. Let's look at pressures of another sort. Why did Bitcoin collapse by almost 5% overnight?
So this is interesting for people who follow Bitcoin, down to around 40,000 Aussie dollars, but it has been, sort of on a bit of a rise recently. But have a look at this overnight. It's had a big fall, and you can see here now around 26,000 US dollars. These are live prices. This is the reason why the colours are flicking around at the moment. But the fact of the matter is it was down by that amount of money because the US Securities Exchange Commission, which is the equivalent of our corporate cop ASIC, effectively delayed the ability for a whole lot of exchange-traded funds from being able to create their own funds based on Bitcoin. So in other words, rather than buying Bitcoin, you would go and buy these funds that would replicate it, probably at a fraction of the cost. But also, these are synthetic products. This is the reason why the Securities Exchange Commission has really held it up. And as a result, there is not as much demand going into Bitcoin because these funds won't be out there buying. And so that price has fallen overnight.